Guys, we're ready for lesson 2.6, and we're going to be exploring some things with dividing fractions today. We're going to look at different models to visualize how to divide by fractions, and we're also going to explore a little bit how to divide with common denominators. Okay, and there are lots of different ways to divide. We're going to spend a few days on this, and we're going to start here with this math message. There's several problems here. We're going to find out that they're all the same. Okay, so one thing when you're starting to divide fractions, again, you got to really learn what is the dividend, what is the divisor, what am I starting with, and what are my groups that I'm dividing up into. So let's just look at A right here. If you have 3 large pizzas, each person gets 3/4 of a pizza. How many people can you serve? So again, you got to use your thinking and logic here. What are you starting with, and what am I dividing it up into? And in this case, writing a number sentence here, I know I'm starting with 3 large pizzas, so that's my dividend, remember? And I'm dividing that up into groups of 3/4 because each person gets 3/4. Okay? And in this case, the whole number comes first. We could have 3/4 divided by 3 sometimes too if the situations were different. There's lots of different situations where it could be this way or it could be the other way, and we're going to have to distinguish which one is which. But we know in this case we're starting with this, and every person gets a group of 3/4 of pizza. Okay, so looking at some strategies to solve here, I'm going to flip over to another page here, and we're going to walk through an example here of how I could draw just to understand this situation. So in this case, if I drew 3 full pizzas and I put them into fourths because each person gets 3/4. So I went around here and we circled 3/4, 1/4, 2/4, 3/4. So each person gets 3/4. So one person would get that, and then here's another 1/4, 2/4, and 3/4. If I combine those, the second person would get that, and I continue that, and I find out that I get 4 people that I can serve. And again, this was simply 3 divided into groups of 3/4, and I show those groups of 3/4, and there are 4 of them. All right, so again, you want to visualize and be able to see what dividing by fractions actually looks like. This is the same thing. How many 3/4 inch segments are there in 3 inches? You're starting with 3 inches and dividing them into 3/4 inch segments. And again, I could just use a number line to do this and make jumps. 3/4, there's 1, there's another 3/4, there's another 3/4, and another 3/4. So in this case, again, if I have 3, I can get 4 groups of 3/4. All these problems are the same, okay? So let's go look at another one here and how we could represent that and some different ways to talk about this. So I'm going to just scroll down here. I want you to look at number 2. And in this situation, you have 3/4 of a book left to read. Okay, you read 1/4 of the book every day. So how many days will it take to finish the book? And again, this is division because I'm grouping into days of 1/4. I have 3/4 left. That's what I'm starting with, 3/4 of a book. I want to divide into groups of 1/4 because we're reading 1/4 every day. So how many days will it take to finish? So again, I could draw a picture. Okay, and I've got a book, and I've got 3/4 of it, so I divided it into 3/4. This is how much I have left. That's pink. Well, day 1, I read a 1/4. Day 2, I read a 1/4. Day 3, I read a 1/4. I'm done with the book in 3 days. So I can, again, draw a picture. Guys, also, we want to remember that we can say them backwards, and you probably wouldn't need a picture for this. If you're just looking 3/4 divided by 1/4, I want groups of 1/4, so I should always be thinking in division. How many 1/4 does it take to get to 3/4? How many 1/4 to make 3/4? Well, 1/4, 2/4, 3/4. I get 3 of them. So again, the answer gets bigger because I'm making small groups. How many 1/4 can I get out of 3/4? I can get 3. And again, the picture proves it. But sometimes, guys, just saying it backwards can be enough to solve. Okay. Also notice I have a common denominator here. This is 3/4 divided by 1/4. And we said that in our I can statement, we're going to try to look if we have common denominators, how that could make it easier. Well, number 1, we can say it backwards, so that helps. And if these numbers up top get along, that will work. Now, if this was a 2/4, now it's not quite so easy. How many 2/4 can I get out of 3/4? Those numbers don't match up, so that saying it backwards strategy might not always work. Another thing you'll find here I'm going to shut this off here for a second. If we have 3/4 divided by 1/4, just like multiplying, guys, when we multiply across, we can also divide across. Most people aren't taught that. When I was a kid, I never was. We learned basically one way, which we'll learn here eventually, a different way to do this. But if we divide across, when I have a common denominator, that's pretty easy to do because I know 4 divided by 4 is 1. So whatever is on top is going to be my answer, okay? Because anything divided by 1 is itself. So if I divide across up top, 3 divided by 1 is 3. So my answer becomes 3, just like we showed in the pictures. Okay, so this strategy works all the time. But again, numbers don't always get along. You know, not saying it won't work. It sure can. What if this is 2/4? Okay, so if I'm going to divide across, I still get 1 on the bottom. Well, what's 3 divided by 2? I could do that, and I know it's 1 1/2, or I could keep it 3/2. But your answer looks kind of funny. If you did it as a decimal, it'd be 1.5 over 1. Or you could keep it 3/2 over 1, but that looks funny. But anything divided by 1 is itself. So this is the answer. It does work. I know 3/2 is 1 1/2, so you can do it this way. It just kind of looks funny in these decimal fractions or complex fractions. So most of the time we don't, but you sure can with the common denominator. Okay, and it'll work every single time. So for another example here to look at, what if I had 6/2 divided by 1/4? All right, so this common denominator strategy, all right, that we don't have one now, so let's get a common denominator. And I know my least common multiple here is 4, and I can get this to a 4 by taking it times 2. So remember, I got to take the top times 2, and I get 12/4 is equivalent to 6/2. So let's rewrite what we have here. So again, I can divide across that common denominator. I know it's going to work because I'm going to get a 1 on the bottom. So then I divide. 12 divided by 1 is 12. 12 over 1, my answer equals 12. Okay? And again, you could just say it backwards too. Don't forget that. It might not do any work. How many 1/4 make 12/4? Well, I can get 12 of those 1/4. The answer is 12. So that's another example of that common denominator strategy. What if I had this? 5 3/3 divided by 9/6. So if one of them's improper, not a big deal. Or one of these is a mixed number. Let's make it improper. So I can make this, and we know this is 6, guys, if I had it in simplest form, because that's 1. But to do this, if I had 1 divided by 9/6, or 6 divided by 9/6, that's kind of a tough problem. What if I made it improper and make it 18/3? Okay, that is still 6. That's the same value as that. And divide by 9/6. All right, common denominator strategy. Well, I can get 3 to a 6 by taking it times 2. So I must multiply the top times 2 as well. And I get 36/6. And I know that's still 6. Now divide by 9/6. And let's divide across. 6 divided by 6, I like doing that bottom first, is 1. And then 36 divided by 9 is 4. We know my answer is 4. And this works every time. It's nice when the 9 and 36 get along and you get a whole number, like we said. A lot of times when you divide, you're going to get a fraction or a decimal, and so the numbers don't always quite get along so easily. So we'll continue to learn other ways to continue to divide. But today we're focused on pictures and saying it backwards, and also this common denominator strategy.